Hi everyone. We live in a world today where technology is literally everywhere. Just take a look at yourself right now. You are watching this presentation on technology of some sort. You probably have technology in your pocket, on your wrist, in your hand. When you leave here, you'll have technology in your car, in the street lights. You'll probably go home, watch TV on technology. Technology is literally everywhere, which translates into the students of today having access to more technology than we probably ever dreamed of a few decades ago. Let me give you a little story to tell you an example. I grew up in a pretty small town, and I went to a rural high school. This is me in about my freshman year of high school in 1996. That year, I took a typing class, and this typing class involved typing on an actual typewriter. This is what a typewriter looks like, just in case you're young and you don't know. It was the second semester of that year that we got computers. And on those computers, which looked kind of similar to this, we would find out that not only would we be able to type, but as time progressed, we would be able to use a thing called the internet to look up words, to find out what things meant. And eventually, which leads us to today, we know that the internet can serve as a dictionary, an encyclopedia, a photo album, and a communication tool all in one. My point with this story is that the learners of today are much different than the learners of yesterday. So it only makes sense that we as teachers also change our teaching techniques to meet the needs of these learners. Grunwald Associates LLC did a study in 2013, and they said the vast majority of children at all grade levels, preschool through 12th grade, have access to an array of technology at home, including mobile devices and computers. So the question is, how can we, as educators, integrate technology into our classrooms, or maybe even into our daily lessons and assessments? One model that we might want to use to help us facilitate technology integration is something called the SAMR model. The SAMR model was invented by Dr. Ruben Puentedora, and it provides a framework for teachers to improve the integration of emerging technologies into their daily lessons. The acronym SAMR, as you can see on this graphic, stands for substitution, augmentation, modification, and redefinition. The SAMR model is made up of 4 different distinct types of task. Basically, this means that you will not necessarily use all 4 in one lesson, but that you might use different types on different days for different lessons. You could even integrate the SAMR model in creating different types of assessments for your students. Let's talk about each level of the SAMR model a little more in depth. We're going to start with the S. S stands for substitution. When we're talking about substitution, we're talking about using technology in place of something else. I'm going to give you an example, and we're going to use this example throughout the presentation to talk about how we can integrate technology. This example is to say maybe we want our students to write a research paper. In the traditional form, a research paper might involve using paper and pencil to write out the information. If we use substitution, we're substituting technology for the traditional form. And what we might do instead is take the paper pencil out altogether and have our students use something like a word processing app, like Microsoft Word. The students are still performing the same task of writing a paper, they're just integrating technology into it. Next is A, which stands for augmentation. In augmentation, technology is not only a substitute, but it also provides some sort of functional improvement. This means that if we use the same scenario of the paper pencil research paper, that not only would we use a word processor, but we might also augment the task by have students use a text-to-speech function. The students are using a substitution, but they're improving on it. They're augmenting their task. The third level is modification. Modification allows for a substantial redesign in the task altogether. So going back to our example, students writing the paper pencil research paper, with modification, our students would take their document that they have written on the word processing app, and they would post it on a blog. Posting it on a blog not only allows them to have the experience of using technology and blogging, but it also allows for them to receive feedback from their peers and their teacher, sometimes maybe even in real time. The last task is R, which stands for redefinition. Redefinition is the most dramatic change in integrating technology. With redefinition, technology is integrated and allows for a creation of a completely new task. So continuing with our paper pencil research paper, with redefinition, what we might do is we take out the research paper altogether. Instead of having our students write something, we have our students make a presentation. Maybe they make a PowerPoint over somebody, or they make a movie about the War of 1812. Or they make a prezi about the aspects of life in Japan. So to this point, we let them do anything that continues to convey information, but doesn't involve just writing a paper. So the most interesting thing with the SAMR model is that you can pretty much integrate it into almost any subject. Science, social studies, math, even subjects like art and music. I know that in education, we have so many different things going on, and sometimes it might seem like a very large task, but I can promise you this, it is an attainable task. You just have to start small. Sometimes it starts with one lesson. It starts with asking yourself, how can I make this, my regular lesson, more interactive for my students? How can I take what I'm already doing and integrate technology? Step outside what is easy and ask yourself what will make your students think the most critically and what will make the lesson or the assessment most meaningful for today's learners. And lastly, we must remember, if we want our students to step out of their comfort zones to learn, we also have to be willing to step outside of our comfort zones. So go out there and start planning those lessons, and don't forget to incorporate technology. Thank you very much for your time.